Hello, everyone. Welcome to this podcast by Aethyra, and I'm your host, Mathews. This is a journey where we take to talk to entrepreneurs and leaders in their spaces, where they tell us about their journey, mistakes, where they've overcome challenges, how they've done it. Today, I would like to welcome Leanne from THC Home. Thank you very much for letting us talk to everyone and spread the knowledge about THC Homes.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. But before we dive in, Leanne, I would like you to introduce yourself, the company, and what you do.
Certainly. So I'm Leanne and I'm the co-founder of THC Homes. So we started about 5 years ago. We initially started with what was a compact space, a compact home to serve those who were struggling to get bricks and mortar buildings. And we went through quite an iterative process of looking at say traditional build methods right through to what we are now, which is a passive house build principle. So now we build sort of more for the leisure industry. So it is following building regulations, but it's for those very niche leisure sites that are looking for something a little bit more long wearing or a bit more luxurious for their sites. So yeah.
Thank you very much. How did you get into designing wellness-led leisure spaces? What drew you to this niche?
Oh, that's a great question. So, I actually lived in China for about 7 years, and I lived in
Wow.
a very compact space for that entire time. And what we found, because we moved around a few times, and we found that in certain apartments, very smart architectural design allowed you to just live more comfortably. So, an apartment that was poorly designed, we moved quite quickly, and we found that you can live very well in quite a small space. So that was the original idea for ourselves. So we actually came back, set up the company, and took sort of this design principle of being able to live compact. And yeah, that's kind of where it all got started was from kind of living that way for so long. So yeah.
And why are landowners choosing wellness-led leisure sites over traditional models?
So the pivot into sort of the leisure industry. What we kind of found was we were building towards a residential spec. So the walls are much thicker, so the
Yeah.
space feels more ambient when you're inside of it. You can use our leisure spaces right through December, January, February. So what
Yeah.
we found is we were building for someone to live in all year round. So actually this could we could enter the leisure market with something that was more of a premium product. So if you think of, say, typical lodges that are out there, typical glamping pods, they usually shut down from sort of October right through to sort of February, March. And it's just a missed opportunity. So we realised that by building the way that we build, by creating a set of leisure products and marketing them, that was what we did about a few years ago. That was the right thing for us to do. So sort of answer your question, why it's more so one is for ROI, making more money, of course,
Yes,
being able to
definitely.
open for another 4 months. The increased ROI naturally. So if you think of a typical lodge or a glamping product right now, if you went onto Airbnb, for example, and typed in, say, like a shepherd's hut in your area, it's probably going to be about £60 to £80 per night rather than the £150, £180 it would be in the summer. That's simply because it's just not going to be comfortable for you. Whereas our buildings are set like an APC sort of equivalent house. So you'd be gaining £250 to £300 a night, even when it's minus degrees outside. So it's a financial reason, but it's also a
Yeah.
quality and a comfort reason as well.
Wow, that's a very in-depth explanation for me. Nish. It looks like you've really captured all the knowledge that is needed in your industry. And if I may ask, what are some common mistakes that developers make early on in this type of niche?
Stakes, I would say, maybe trying to buy the cheapest product to make the quickest returns, which is not
Mm.
necessarily always the best thing to do. I would also say the lack of research into the target market, so into the leisure industry right now. So what I would say to sort of new sites, new developers, is to say where we are seeing an increase in volume is of wellness-led cabins, and we're seeing more people are kind of, rather than being stuck to their phone, people are stuck to their phones. They're working quite energy intensive jobs. They are glued to laptops. They come home and they scroll again, they watch TV, and then when they want to go on holiday, they're not thinking about noisy caravans or places that are loud and busy. They want the opposite. They're looking to now switch off. So yeah, in the UK a lot, the UK right now is really sort of escalating when it comes to wellness. And we've already been on that bandwagon for so long. So yeah, I think missing the
Yeah.
market or missing that opportunity is probably one of those things. Yeah.
Yes, that's fantastic. Thank you again. And what materials make the biggest difference in how lodgers feel and how these leisure centers are?
Sure. Biggest differences is so what we try to do, it's about how somebody feels when they're inside of the building. So anybody can put in pretty taps and nice sinks and fitted kitchens, but what we try to achieve is more the holistic side. So rather than being the pretty box, which we hope our buildings are, it's more about how they feel when they walk inside. So to just give you some examples, it would be when you shut the door, you can't hear sort of Sandra outside singing. It's quiet, it's peaceful. And then when you walk in, the temperature is ambient. You're not thinking, gosh, it's freezing in here, let's get the heating on, or vice versa. In the summer, it's not blistering heat and you're thinking, get the cooling on. So it's about how the passive house of the building, it feels ambient all year round. So the person inside feels comfortable. And then another thing is, so it's the soundproofing, but it's the acoustic absorption. So when somebody comes in, it absorbs the sounds and voices from the inside, so it just feels more relaxing. It doesn't sort of reflect from sort of thinner walls or plastics and sort of metal boxes like caravans. So there's quite a bit there.
Yes, thank you. I will definitely, and my viewers also will definitely want to get their hands on such an experience. And also, if someone was starting a leisure development, what will be the first wellness upgrade that they should probably prioritize?
Our first wellness upgrade, I would say really think about where the building's going to go. So I
Yes.
would think about location in a sense of where the nearest road is. So when they want to sit outside, can they hear traffic? What's the view? And not just from the main window, but from the bedroom window, from the living space. What will they see driving up to your building? Their experience begins as soon as they enter your property. So I would say think about the visuals, think about the initial first impressions we know count. So those first 2 minutes of driving are going to be vital. And then the second thing I would also factor in is don't underestimate costs for electricity. So that's something quite big right now, is the reason why we build really energy efficient and we can provide off-grid models. Running electrics can be very expensive. And if you don't need to, because you can put off-grid buildings down, don't do it. Save yourself the money.
Wow, that's a very interesting insight also for viewers who are and developers also who are in this type of niche. And will you say this will be developing into the future? What does the future of leisure industry look as wellness becomes central to this?
Sure. I think there'll always be a market for the traditional lodges and cabins. I think what we see is people who really do want to switch off, and it's more the holistic side. We see wedding venues and we see boutique hotels who have maybe got 40 to 50 rooms and they're
Wow.
already successful, and they're thinking, well, we don't want to build a second hotel, but a couple of unique pods in the gardens, in the walled garden or whatever is on site, that would provide that sort of upsell. So I think hotels are looking to expand in different ways. I think developers are looking at ways to increase their margins with the box that they're basically buying, rather than getting £150 a night. Can you get 300 from it? And how do you do that? And I'd say farmers as well. I think right now we're seeing a huge uptake in farmers that have been struggling in the UK. That's a separate topic in itself. Farmers have been really struggling. They've been hit really hard. But by putting down a pod or two, they've got the views, they've got the location. Almost every farmer's got maybe a sliver of land that's just not arable. So by putting down a product, you actually can make a bit more income from your land. So that's where we see things. Yeah.
Perfect. So you say your you're mostly farmers and developers are mostly getting into this niche and looking to explore further into the leisure spaces.
Yeah. We've also got, so our two most recent projects that we're discussing right now are actually more based around elderly care. So this is another sector that's recently come to us. We unintentionally have attracted this, which is fantastic. But what we found is sites where they are looking to put down small bungalows, which are about the size of our 2-3 bedroom leisure lodges. Because they're designed for healthier living, so they're great for people who have maybe a compromised immune system. So it's about the healthiness of the building. Ambient as well, low energy costs for the elderly that can't afford expensive
Right.
energy bills. It ticks all the boxes. So we found that this could be a solution for allowing a community of elderly individuals to come together, not necessarily in a sense of like a care home per se, somebody who's actually quite fit and healthy, but they might live alone, or they might just want a community. So this is also something that we've seen recently as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. You seems you have captured all industries from the elderlies, the farmers, also the type of developers that are interested in this particular industry. And how does the NordSeries fit into the future direction of leisure design?
So the NordSeries is brand new. So again, 5 years, so we still feel like a little baby. About 3 years ago is when we pivoted into the leisure industry and we found our feet, so we know exactly what we're doing now. In terms of, I think you mentioned right at the beginning about like mistakes, and my first thought was marketing and branding. I think for our side was our biggest mistake was not realizing what we had. So we were building a product for an individual and we didn't realize that there was so many tick boxes that we were ticking all these boxes that were
Yes.
excellent for the leisure industry, and we just wasn't aware. So it took us a long time to sort of realize that we have a product that is not being marketed to the people that we want to market it to. So it's taken us about 2 years to really find the connections that we have today. We've got some incredible projects happening next year. And then,
Wow.
yes, we've designed the NordSeries, which is out now, but it officially launches in January with our new show space. So, yes, very exciting.
Perfect. I hope our listeners will be willing to head out and check out what is happening. And before we wrap this up, I would like to ask a major question. If you had a magic button that will reduce the headaches in your day-to-day activities, in your businesses, in something that you'll want your company to grow better and further and scale it up, what will that be?
Magic wand, the regular, that's so much. I think every day is a school day. I think we should always be continuing to learn. But I would say we actually are actively looking for an NED. So I think we, as two directors, we want somebody who has more knowledge than what we do to be able to take us sort of to the next level. So waving a
Yes.
magic wand would be to wake up tomorrow morning with an NED in our lap.
Yes. I don't know where you might find that, but hopefully as you grow daily, learning, making mistakes, overcoming the hurdles that you've had so far will definitely get you to your goal.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you very much, Leanne, for joining this. I really thank you for your time, for joining into the Aethyra podcast. And I would love for my listeners to join into this. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.